2025 has been an incredible year for gaming with so many titles fighting for our attention. But for today's video, I'm taking personal bias out of the equation. I have ranked the top 10 games released this year strictly based on their Metacritic scores. So we are going to see exactly which title the critics agreed were the absolute best. Let's dive into the highest rated games of 2025. Number 10. Death Stranding 2. On the Beach. Meta. 89. Developer Kojima Productions. Release platforms PlayStation 5. Hideo Kojima has proved once again that his mind just has no limits. Death Stranding 2. On the Beach, developed by Kojima Productions, is way more than just a simple sequel to that genre-bending 2019 title. It's a full-on cinematic and philosophical evolution. The story picks up a few years after the first game. Sam Porter Bridges, played by Norman Reedus, who's looking older and more seasoned now, teams up with fragile Lea Seydoux for a new adventure. This time, the main question isn't how do we connect, but Kojima boldly asks, should we have connected at all? The addition of new characters played by Elle Fanning and Shiori Kutsuna adds complex layers to the mystery, turning the narrative from a personal journey into an international epic that goes way beyond the borders of America. Gameplay-wise, DS2 has undergone fundamental changes compared to the first one. If the first game was about walking in solitude, this one is about adapting to chaos. The environments are dynamic and alive now. Floods, landslides, and wildfires change your path in real time. The addition of the Magellan ship as a mobile base has completely revolutionized travel strategy. Combat, which was the Achilles heel of the previous game, is now smoother, more action-packed, and tactical. Plus, the new tools give Sam a much greater sense of power. Visually, the Decima engine is working absolute magic on the PS5. The photorealistic lighting, the insane details on the actors' faces, and the fluid physics, especially the tar and water, have completely blurred the line between film and game. This game managed to clean up at the Game Awards, taking home heavy hitters like Best Direction, Best Performance for Lea Seydoux, and Best Narrative, and was even the main contender for Game of the Year. Compared to the first game, On the Beach has a faster pace, more diverse environments, and a darker story that will hook even those who didn't vibe with the Porter Simulator mechanics of the original. Kojima has shown once again that he is the master of creating weird yet totally believable worlds. Number 9. The Seance of Blake Manor. Meta. The 89. Developer Crimson Ink Studios. Release platforms PC. In a sea of horror games that rely solely on cheap jump scares, The Seance of Blake Manor shines like a classic gothic novel that slowly creeps under your skin. Developed by the talented indie studio Ethereal Games, this is a first-person adventure focused on puzzle solving and psychological horror. The story takes place in the 1920s, England. You play as a notorious medium invited to the ancestral Blake Manor to solve the mystery of the family's sudden disappearance. What starts as a simple narrative turns into a horrifying tragedy of betrayal and black magic as you uncover manuscripts and connect with wandering spirits. Gameplay-wise, it brings some cool innovations. The core loop revolves around the seance mechanic. You have to collect objects left behind by family members, arrange them on the seance table, and contact the dead. The use of your microphone to ask real questions to the spirits, kinda like Phasmophobia, but in a story-driven context, massively boosts the immersion. The puzzles are logical and challenging, and thankfully, instead of making you run away from monsters, the game focuses on a heavy atmosphere and pure suspense. Visually, we're not looking at an AAA title, but the lighting and art design of Blake Manor are fantastic. The game plays with shadows, and the sound of creaking wood or the wind whispering in empty hallways powered by 3D audio will literally give you goosebumps. Critics from sites like IGN and GameSpot praise the masterful atmosphere and environmental storytelling, though they did point out the short playtime, about 5 hours, and some technical bugs at launch. Number 8. The Talos Principle Reawakened. Meta. 89. Developer Crow Team. Release platforms PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series. The Talos Principle Reawakened has proven once again that the Croatian studio Crow Team are not just masters of puzzle design, but philosophers who know how to code. Released under the supervision of the beloved publisher Devolver Digital, this title is an experience that blurs the line between a video game and a class on existentialism. The story continues the rich narrative of the second game. You awaken once more as an android in New Jerusalem, but this time you are faced with discovering a new section of the megastructure. A journey that raises even deeper questions about the nature of consciousness, the soul, and the meaning of being human. The narrative remains heavy, text-driven, and filled with philosophical dialogue that keeps the player's mind engaged for hours after the credits roll. In terms of gameplay, Reawakened retains the successful formula of laser puzzles, gravity manipulation, and mind transfer, while introducing new mechanics that make environmental interaction more complex. The level design is so intelligent that solving each puzzle instills a sense of brilliance in the player rather than fatigue. If you experience this version in VR, the immersion reaches its peak. You must physically move connectors and truly feel the magnitude of the ancient structures around you. Visually, leveraging the full power of Unreal Engine 5, the game stands as one of the most beautiful titles of the 9th generation. The contrast between ancient Greek Egyptian architecture and sci-fi technology creates stunning vistas, where dynamic lighting transforms every scene into a living painting. Number 7. Despelote. Meta. 89. Developer Julián Cordero y Sebastián Balbuena. Release platforms PC, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series. In a world where football games are monopolized by giants like EAFC, titles focused on realistic graphics and fierce competition, the indie game Despelote 2025 arrived to remind us that football isn't just a sport, it is a culture and a shared language. Developed by two Ecuadorian creators, Julián Cordero and Sebastián Balbuena, and backed by the renowned publisher Panic, this unique title takes you on a nostalgic journey. The story is set in 2001 in Quito, the capital of Ecuador, right when the national team was on the verge of its historic first qualification for the 2002 World Cup. Playing as an 8-year-old child, you experience this national fever not from inside a stadium, but through the city's parks and streets. In terms of gameplay, Despelote is a first-person, physics-based experience. The core mechanic is simple. You have a soccer ball that you can kick, dribble, or pass. But make no mistake, there are no matches or scores here. The ball is your tool for interacting with the world. You use it to prank people, start conversation, or even break objects in the environment. It is a slice of life game where the gameplay serves to narrate the vibe and feeling of that era. The runtime is short, about 2 hours, but every moment is packed with cultural details. Visually and sonically, the game is a true artistic masterpiece. The creator have blended 3D environments with real photography and 2D animated characters, giving the game a style resembling a collage or a living diary. However, the real masterpiece lies in the sound design. The authentic sounds of Quito's streets and the Spanish dialogue create an atmosphere that completely immerses you in the Ecuador of the 2000s. Number 6. Hollow Knight, Silksong, Meta. 90. Developer, Team Cherry. Release platforms, PC, Nintendo Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series. After years of waiting and total radio silence, the small but genius team at Team Cherry finally dropped Hollow Knight, Silksong, proving that our patience was totally worth it. In this sequel, you step into the shoes of Hornet, the princess protector of Hollow Nest. Unlike the first game, which was a story about descending into darkness, this one is all about ascending. Hornet has been kidnapped and taken to the distant, cursed kingdom of Farloom, a land ruled by Song and Silk. To find the truth and regain her freedom, she has to fight her way up to the shining citadel at the very peak. Gameplay-wise, Silksong is a massive evolutionary leap. While the knight from the first game was a silent warrior who relied on heavy hits, Hornet is the definition of speed, acrobatics, and grace. She can mantle ledges, move way faster, and her healing system is instant, unlike the slow focus from the last game, which ramps up the combat rhythm to a crazy level. The tool system has replaced the charms, giving you endless strategic variety. Visually, it stays true to that beautiful hand-drawn style, but with a more diverse color palette, more detailed animations, and the dynamic environments of Farloom, it stands a head and shoulders above Hollow Knight. And Christopher Larkin's soundtrack, once again, is absolutely magical and epic. Silksong isn't just a game, it's a perfect symphony of action and exploration that's going to set the benchmark for this genre for years to come. Number 5. Donkey Kong Bananza, Meta. 91. Developer, Nintendo EPD. Release platforms, Nintendo Switch 2. With the release of Donkey Kong Bananza in the summer of 2025, Nintendo didn't just deliver one of the best launch titles for the new Nintendo Switch 2. They created one of the most creative 3D platformers in history. Developed by the legendary Nintendo EPD team, this game takes Donkey Kong off his usual island and sends him deep underground. The story is simple but catchy. DK teams up with Pauline, who plays a key role now, to journey to the planet's core in search of a legendary treasure that grants wishes. Pauline just wants to get back to the surface, but DK? Well, he just wants those golden bananas, aka Banandium gems. Gameplay-wise, Bananza is a total revolution for the series. The core experience is built on environmental destructibility. The power of the Switch 2 allows DK to smash through almost any surface, dig tunnels, and carve out new paths. It offers freedom reminiscent of Super Mario Odyssey, but with that heavy, satisfying physics unique to DK. The new Bananza transformations feature also shakes things up. Pauline's singing can morph DK into different forms, like a speedster zebra or other powerful variations. The two-player co-op, where the second player controls Pauline and her sound attacks, is easily one of the best multiplayer experiences of the year. Visually, the game is a technical showcase for Nintendo's new console. Dynamic lighting in crystal caves, highly detailed fur textures on DK, and massive environments with zero loading screens are just stunning. With a skyrocketing Metascore and millions sold in the first week, it took home the Best Family Game Award at the Game Awards 2025, proving that the old Nintendo ape can still wear the crown of the platforming king. Number 4. Split Fiction, Meta. 91. Developer, Hazelight Studios. Release platforms, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC. Dropped in March 2025, this game proved once again that this studio is the undisputed king of narrative co-op games. The story revolves around two writers, Mio and Zoe. One's a hardcore sci-fi geek, and the other is obsessed with fantasy. Through a freak accident, they get trapped in a world created by their own mashed up imaginations, and they have to put their differences aside to escape. The clash between robots and dragons creates a narrative that's funny, emotional, and deeply creative. Gameplay-wise, Split Fiction is a total masterclass in level design. The split screen isn't just a limitation here, it's actually a core part of the mechanics. 1 minute you're in a laser shootout in a cyberpunk city, and the next, you're riding a phoenix solving magical puzzles. The variety is insane, from platforming and third-person shooters to rhythm and racing minigames. No mechanic ever feels repetitive, and the game constantly surprises you and your partner with fresh ideas. Visually, the contrast between the cold, neon sci-fi world and the warm, organic fantasy realm delivers some breathtaking graphics on Gen 9 consoles and PC. Split Fiction isn't just a game, it's a love letter to the power of imagination and the joy of playing together. Number 3. Blueprints. Meta 92. Developer Dokubom. Release platforms PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC. Blueprints, coming from the indie studio Dokubom and the well-known publisher Raw Fury, is one of those titles that just smashes genres together and redefines what puzzle and strategy game can be. The story follows Simon, who inherits the mysterious and legendary Mount Holly estate. But this isn't your average mansion. Rumor has it that Room 46 hides a massive secret, and Simon has to uncover it before the house literally rejects him. The narrative is mysterious, minimal, and full of architectural metaphors that really immerse you in this isolated, cerebral vibe. The gameplay in Blueprints is where the dev's genius really shines. Unlike typical adventure games where you move through a fixed map, here you are the architect. Every morning, using a card drafting system, you have to place rooms one by one to form hallways and chamber. Every step you take consumes energy, and if you run out before finding key rooms, the day resets. Classic roguelite elements. The real challenge is strategically managing your layout to hit objectives, find key items, and solve environmental puzzles. This mechanic makes every playthrough feel totally unique. Visually, the game uses a minimalist style and a specific color palette that reminds you of architectural blueprints. The design is simple but super chic, and it perfectly conveys that eerie atmosphere of the manor without needing heavy textures. Critics from sites like IGN and GameSpot praise the game for its bold innovation in mixing construction strategy with first-person adventure. Gamers have even nicknamed it Spatial Tetris or Architectural Chess because of how it challenges your brain. Even though indie puzzle games don't usually see blockbuster sales, Blueprints cemented itself as one of the year's biggest indie hits, completely winning over fans of the puzzle genre. Number 2. Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Meta 92, Developer Sandfall Interactive, Release platforms PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC. When the newly formed French studio Sandfall Interactive dropped their first trailer, everyone was blown away by the stunning visuals. But honestly, few people predicted that by the end of 2025, it would actually snatch the crown for Game of the Year. The story takes place in a fantasy world inspired by France's Belle Epoque era, a world living under the dark shadow of the paintress. Every year, she wakes up and paints a number on a monolith. Everyone of that specific age just turns to dust. This year, the number is 33, and you are in charge of Expedition 33, a group of heroes on an impossible mission to destroy the Painteress before the cycle ends. It's a tragic, epic, and deeply human story that really hits home for any gamer. Gameplay-wise, Clair Obscur started a revolution in the turn-based RPG genre. The combat system, which the devs call reactive turn-based, is a brilliant mix of classic JRPG strategy and the thrill of action games. You issue an attack command, but you have to react in real time to dodge, parry, and button mash to boost your damage. This system makes the combat rhythm so engaging that even people who don't usually like turn-based games fell in love with it. Visually, the use of Unreal Engine 5 has created some breathtaking landscapes. From floating mountain to Gothic architecture, everything is designed with such insane detail that it blurs the line between reality and dream. This game proved that with creativity and innovation, even a studio's debut title can take down the industry giants and create a legacy that lasts forever. Number 1. Hades 2, Meta 95. Developer, Supergiant Games. Release platforms, Nintendo Switch 2, P. Supergiant Games has always been famous for their unwritten rule of never making sequels. Well, with Hades 2, they finally broke that spell. This game isn't just a direct sequel to the 2020 masterpiece. It's carrying a ton of expectations while trying to carve out its own identity. Unlike the first game, which was basically the story of Zagreus trying to run away from home, Hades 2 tells a much darker and more epic tale. This time, you play as Melinoe, the immortal princess of the underworld and Zagreus' sister. Your mission? To defeat your grandfather, Kronos, the Titan of Time, who has escaped his prison and captured Hades and the rest of Olympus. The story has really shifted from a family drama into a full-blown war to save the world. Gameplay-wise, that addictive fast-paced roguelike core is still there, but Melinoe fights totally differently from her brother. If Zagreus was a rebellious, physical brawler, Melinoe is a witch. The addition of a magic bar and Omega abilities has doubled the tactical depth of the game. Plus, the upgrade system involving tarot cards and gathering resources to craft potions adds new layers that make it feel even more complex and rich than the first game. Visually, it still rocks that stunning painterly art style by Gen Z, but with way more detail, dynamic environments, and the smoother animations that really flex the technical power of Supergiant's engine.